Familiarize yourself with it.
Okay.
If you put in Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you'll I can check if it's the right one.
Okay.
That'll be easy for you to just follow.
Is it Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama?
Perfect. You got it. Yeah. I just want to make sure because you seem to be struggling with it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to go with the flow, like the tuning.
Yeah.
Like,
we'll kind of jump around because we're like I'm what I call an extreme amateur musician. Hare Krishna. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good t-shirt. I'll just get you some pillows.
I know.
Of course you are. Yes. Get a chair. I'll get a chair. Sorry.
You want to sit Tristan or sit on the
I can sit.
Where should I sit?
Just on the deck.
Jerry? Yeah, that's more than that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Welcome everyone. Thank you for your mercy of your presence, without which I cannot have the mercy of trying to explain Bhagavad Gita. I just make sure we've got Bhagavad Gita. I've got two. You got one, yeah?
One or two.
You got two? Okay, brilliant. Okay. You got one there? Wow. Okay. Brilliant. I have a present for everyone, which I should take home, which I think you might find useful. Right, I'll just do the prayers and then I'll try and find my notes. It will be a challenge. Om Jnana Timanandasya Jnananjana Salakya Kaksurum Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guru Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swaya Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamanam Sri Guru Vaishnavascha Sri Rupam Sagatatam Sahagana Dharmanavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijanaya Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visam Sitascha He Krishna Karma Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopisa Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanka Gorangi Radha Vrindavasuri Visabhanu Sutu Devi Pranamai Haripriye Vantya Kalpaturvascha Kripa Sindhabhaya Evacha Patinanayam Pavanavayo Vaishnaveyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Saraswati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, thank you. So, I should have some real, hopefully, towards the end, some really exciting bits to get this thing to work. What I'll do is I'll do a recap of where we were, and then I'll so we can build that, keep building that knowledge, and then we'll turn that into a newer discussion on different topics. Okay, so just a bit of background. So how familiar are you with Bhagavad Gita? Fairly familiar. Okay, that's probably a bad question, a bad answer from a lawyer. It's like, how wide is this? It's bad this way. So, but yeah, we'll try and do it at a level that you know purifies all of us. I suppose is probably the best way to put it. So, if I can get to the top of my head. Okay. So, as I've said quite a few times, but it's worth reiterating. We're on a battlefield, a very noisy battlefield, where some very bloodthirsty, villainous people are there who want to fight over land. Okay. So, a problem we're very familiar with if you look back at what's happening at the moment and what's happened in the last few hundred years. And Krishna, this is at the end of one of the yugas. So we have 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, and then we have Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So this is the verge of the start of Kali Yuga. There's a big battle between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And Arjuna, the main warrior for the Pandavas, is with Krishna, who's Supreme Lord himself, on his chariot. And they're looking at all these armies. And Arjuna has asked Krishna to take him to the middle of the armies. And chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita starts off with Duryodhana, who's the protagonist, of the main one of the main villains, and his father Dhritarashtra, who have taken the land of the Pandavas, should rightfully belong to someone else, the Pandavas. So Dhritarashtra is asking that question when they were assembled on the holy battlefield: what did my sons and sons of Pandu do? And what we get in this first chapter is Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, trying to analyse the battle from his point of view. And he's on the side of the unrighteous, as it were. So the way he explains and asks questions in this first chapter is important because it gives us an idea of what we call an embodied soul, a conditioned soul, who's not really aware of the presence of God. So the way the questions are formulated and the egotistical level which he uses language tells you someone who's very much what we call material nescience. He's very much of this world. So you basically, in the first chapter, it's very easy to remember an appropriate acronym. You can remember the word conch, which gives you the breakdown of the first chapter of what's going on. So first, Duryodhana is comparing the armies, comparing both sides, because he wants to feel good about himself. Now, he knows that he has Bhishma on his side. Now, Bhishma is a very exalted soul, unknown to Duryodhana, is a devotee of Krishna. And Bhishma has two boons, really. One of the boons is that he can die when he wants to. The second boon is that when he's holding a weapon, he can never be killed by anybody. So Bhishma is known to wiping out entire armies. So just looking at Bhishma, Duryodhana thinks, well, it's just a no-brainer, I'm going to win. You know, it's part of us is much not bother turning up. You know. What he doesn't understand, of course, is Arjuna is the Supreme Lord himself, who finally dictates everything that goes on. You know, that message is explored and explained through the Bhagavad Gita. Then we have omens. So by Duryodhana's questions we understand. So conch, C-O, comparing the armies is the first one. Omens is the second one. Omens for both sides. And we can see from the way the descriptions are given, that actually, even though Duryodhana is very puffed up and he thinks he's going to basically beat the living hell out of the Pandavas, in fact he's not going to win. Yeah? Just from the way that the conch shells are described, just being below. Yeah. Then Arjuna is asked by Krishna to take himself deeper within the two armies that are facing each other. So he's right in between the two of them. And this is like a person facing, a bit like his demons, as it were. You know, things he's trying to avoid, or things he's about to become a shock to him. So he's about to be overwhelmed by the material energy and material realm. Krishna has deliberately put him in that position. So he looks around, he sees all these people foaming with sort of saliva in their mouths, they're bloodthirsty, sort of bashing their sort of weapons on the ground and stuff, ready for battle. And he remembers that Drona, one of the senior warriors on the other side, and Bhishma, the people he used to play with, and he used to teach him as a child, and he gets very, very emotional. You know, very, very emotional. So he looks at Krishna and says, well, hang on a minute. He gets overwhelmed by compassion because he's a devotee. He says, come on, why do you have to kill these people? It's probably just a bad idea. Look at them, they're just crazy. They've gone crazy. You know? And I think we should just basically leave it to them. You know, why kill these people because of land? Ultimately, and if we end up killing hundreds of thousands of people, then what about the wives? And what about the kids? And what about the breakdown of society because of all these men have just been wiped out? You know, it's like the First World War that killed thousands, millions of men. So Arjuna decides that he doesn't want to fight because of all the feelings that go through his head. So if I say quantity, comparing the armies at the start, omens, navigate at end, see compassion, so Arjuna's feeling compassion, and finally heritage, H, the conch. Talking about heritage, destroying the dynasties, and all these worldly arguments for not participating in the battle. And then we enter chapter 2. Chapter 1 is observing the armies. Chapter 2 is looking at, it's called the contents of the Gita summarized, which is the whole of the Bhagavad Gita summarized in one chapter. And there it starts off by Krishna saying to Arjuna, what is this mad and shameful weakness? Stand up and fight. Arjuna just looks at the whole scene and goes, no, I surrender unto you. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what my duty lies. 2.7 Kasha, Dosa Pravata, Puchim Tvam Dharma Samudra Cheta, Yakshya Jan Sisyas Deham Sadi Mam Tam Prapanham. That's the last part, it's the very important part. I surrender unto you. So Arjuna surrenders up to Krishna as his guide. And that's a very fundamentally important point. Because when you surrender unto the Lord, then everything begins in terms of understanding what this world is. So Krishna is then going to guide Arjuna through the Bhagavad Gita as a conversation between the two of them. So that after, right at the end, so he moves him, if you think about what's happening over the space of a couple of hours or so, Arjuna is taken from, I definitely don't want to fight, this is the worst thing idea in the world, killing all these people is just going to be evil, it's sinful, blah blah. And by the end he goes, let's get on with it. So how does Krishna do that? What does he tell him to get him over the line, as it were? And chapter 2 summarizes this quite beautifully. So we looked at the word transcendent, which explains the breakdown of chapter 2. So after Krishna goes, fight, Arjuna goes, no, I'm not going to do it. You know? And what you get is a series of arguments, which Arjuna rejects for fighting. You know? Until Krishna has to find a convincing argument to pull him, shake him to the core and get him to see reason. So the first thing that Krishna tells in chapter 2, the first piece of knowledge that he imparts to Arjuna, the first little flick on his head, is, well, you're not the body, you're the soul. Right? You're the atomic soul, which is indestructible. You can't be killed. You can't kill. As God, I would not have given the sanction to mortals. And neither can they. They're not going to kill anyone either. These bad guys, these villains. They're not going to kill anyone either. As we go through the Bhagavad Gita, to this second point, atomic, transcendence, atomic nature of the soul, Srila Prabhupada, in his majestic commentary, which is equal to Sri Krishna's words, explains to you what the purpose of the soul is. And through that, Arjuna will understand why he's going to fight. What is the nature of the soul? What's the purpose of the soul? Okay? But at the moment he's not doing that. He's just going to start off by going, look, you're not the body of the soul, and even if you were the body just dies anyway. Why are you so bothered about this? It's so temporary, for God's sake. Why are you so attached to this very temporary thing? Maharaj Yudhishthira was once asked by Dharma, by the lake his father, what is the most extraordinary thing that you see every day? And he said, I see death everywhere. People dying all the time. But what I can't understand is why are people walking around like zombies as if they will live forever? Why are they so oblivious to this? The absolute reality that they want to see. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita will answer that question for you. Why people are oblivious to the reality of death. Because of the conditioned nature in the material world. So we'll get there in a minute. So that atomic argument, Arjuna goes, okay, that's interesting. But he doesn't kick off. He doesn't go, okay, that's a good idea, I'm going to fight these guys. I understand, I'm the soul, they're the soul, I'm not really going to kill them, let me get on with it. No, he just sort of goes, well. So the Bhagavad Gita doesn't end at verse 2.20 when he's talking about the soul, 24. Right? It carries on to the next bit. So then Krishna has to give him another layer of answer beyond you're just a soul. So the next thing he says, look, duty is important. Kshatriyas, it's noble to fight. That's what you're born for. That's what you're trained for. You can't sort of ignore what your nature is. You've got to go out and do it. And Arjuna's like, well, really? He said, yeah, you're born. That's probably the best thing for you. He said, I'm not so sure about this. And then Krishna goes, okay, he's not buying that argument now. So now I'm going to take him to another level, right? So then he takes him to what we call the beginning of the spiritual level, in the middle of the second chapter. So that spiritual level commences when he brings him the first spiritual idea to Arjuna, which is that, actually, why don't you fight? Don't worry about whether you win or not. Just put that on one side. Just fight for the sake of fighting. Don't worry about the glories or the gold or the riches. You did try and seduce him that way earlier, but it didn't work. Actually, it's interesting. I like that's a philosophical concept. But he still doesn't pick up the bow and fight. So it doesn't end around verse 2.384 and 2.35 and so on. So Krishna goes, okay, well, there is another level beyond this. You must fight in transcendence. Don't worry about material opulence. Don't worry about glory. fight for something even bigger than that. So he doesn't tell him the answer, what that is. But Arjuna gets curious. He goes, so you told me that I've got to fight because I'm the soul. That didn't work for me. You told me that I've got to fight because it's my noble duty by birth. That doesn't really work for me. You tell me to fight because I'll get the heavenly planets. I'll get something out of it. That doesn't work for me. But now you're saying something transcendental, some other transcendental reason why I should fight. So if we just stop here and pause for a moment. If you look at the world around you, there are shades of these things explaining people's actions. I'm going to go to work because I want something in return. I want the glory. I want to go up the corporate ladder. I want to become a doctor, study hard. So there's shades of this kind of, I'll get something for myself. But Krishna wants to take Arjuna beyond reciprocity. I do something, I get something in return. So Arjuna asks in 2.54, what are the symptoms of a person in transcendence? How does that person behave? So Krishna then goes, okay, that's a great question. I'm going to tell you the answer to that. And Krishna incorporates this idea, begins this idea of dualities, which is somebody who doesn't be affected by good or bad things that happen, happiness or distress. They go home, their car's been stolen, they sort of go, all right, whatever. That sort of thing, brush it off. It's like a guy on the rugby pitch, I don't think they play rugby, or Aussie football, or whatever it is in Australia. Someone hits you really hard, knocks you back, because they want to make you feel the pain. They look at you, they're waiting for a reaction. You get off the ground and just carry on as if nothing has happened. Which will irritate them, of course, because they're looking for a reaction. So you're saying, that's how I want you to act. I want you to act detached, as if you're not really on the battlefield. You can't see any of these things around you. You can't hear the noises. You can't look at Bhishma and Drona. I want you to take it to that transcendental position, where it becomes irrelevant what's going on. So then it sort of begins. How do I get to this position? And that's why we've got these 18 chapters of getting you from here. Oh my God, that my life is so terrible. I've got my mortgage to pay, or my kids to feed, and I've got to go and become a corporate CEO and millions and millions of dollars, or create a railway line, or whatever it is. All this stress on the mind. But this idea of detached action, transcendent detached action. So we get into the core of what this is. Now, what we'll discover in the Bhagavad Gita to explain to ourselves of how not to get affected, even if your car gets stolen or you get knocked over or whatever it is, you just get up and as if nothing would happen, is you understand the 5 topics of the Bhagavad Gita. And we're going to look at one of those topics today. The 5 topics are Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the soul, you've got time, karma, and then you've got material nature. And we're going to look at material nature, which is a core part of explaining how Arjuna, by the end of the Bhagavad Gita, is pretty much in a position where he doesn't see these things for what he saw them at the start, which is, oh my God, stress. So what is it that has brought us here into this world? We have to understand why we're here, to get to that level of transcendence so we don't get affected by everything around us. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, specifically in chapter 14, although this is explained in verse 2.44, 2.45, 3.27, so in Bhagavad Gita, is that the soul at some point went from the spiritual world where it was enjoying for God's pleasure. That's its natural state of happiness. And it shifted to the material world where it wanted to enjoy pleasure for itself. So it went from pleasure giving to pleasure taking. He wanted to lord over and feel what it was like to be God. So God created a playground, a safe place for it to play, where it can reform its behavior and get back to the spiritual world. But what are the dynamics of the material world? We need to understand those in order to get ourselves out of here. We understand how it works. What are the tricks of the trade of becoming transcendental? So this idea comes into play. Krishna creates the material energy, and the souls get material bodies to play God. It's like a playwright, and then gives it to an actor. An actor goes on stage and goes, okay, play these different roles. What am I going to play? Well, part 1, act 1, scene 1 of the play, you're going to be a donkey, right? And you're going to bray, And you're going to play all the way through Act 1. That'll be your role. And other people will play kings, and other people will play poets, and other people will so on. Other people will play other animals. That's going to be your role. And if you do really well in Act 1, Scene 1, in Act 1, Scene 2, you get to be a magistrate. You get another role. Yeah? And what affects you getting into these different roles are the interactions of your ego, effectively. So the body has false ego, has affinity for this body, and Krishna creates within this material nature something called the modes of material nature. So every interaction of this body and its senses with the world around it is in one of three modes of nature: goodness, passion, or ignorance. And by always being in the modes of nature, you will stay in the reform prison house, as we explained last week. So every time you engage your senses and seek to enjoy for yourself, you are captured by one of the modes of nature. And by captured by the modes of nature, you have the risk of returning to another physical body in this world. This is going to be repeatedly dripped through to Arjuna over 18 chapters. Eventually you get to chapter 14, and talks about modes of nature in huge detail. So we need to understand what these modes of nature are. So I've got a handout for you, which is present, sort of laminated for you. This is going to help you. So we're going to look at this. I hand this out. So I want a proper hand. You can keep this one. I think it's good to have it on a table somewhere. This is somebody else's work, so I don't want to sort of claim merit for this, but it's a pretty good table. So, three modes of nature. So have a read of the table. I know it'll be difficult to familiarise yourself with it straight away. It's goodness, happiness, satisfaction, knowledge, purity. And then we'll discuss it. Of course. We take a picture and put it in? Right, good. So we've got mode of goodness, happiness, satisfaction, knowledge, superiority, passion, attachment to fruitive activities, to bound by the rope of desire and attachment, ignorance, madness, indolence, sleep. Yeah. And you've got what does people look like when they're in these modes? So that explains that. Characteristics of the way of goodness: eliminates the gates of the body with full knowledge, frees one from sinful reactions, passion, intense endeavour, unlimited desires and longings, great attachment, fruitive activities, ignorance, delusion, illusion, darkness, madness, inertia, destination of death, attains the pure higher planets of the great sages, passion, attains the earthly planets, ignorance, birth in the lower species, animals. Results of action: goodness, pure knowledge, see things as they are. 3, elevation to higher planets like Brahmaloka or Janaloka. Passion, misery, greed, earthly planets. Results of action: ignorance, foolishness, madness, illusion, life in the hellish worlds. So let's do a practical little exercise on this, because I think I want to get it into the bloodstream a little bit. So, who can you think of in society that would be in the mode of goodness?
Saint.
Saint, yeah?
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. Anyone else?
A person with selfless services.
Yeah. answers. Mode of passion?
Food stars?
Yeah, absolutely.
Food stars, they always desire something like
Yeah.
they want their movies to do good.
Yep, yep.
Politicians.
Politicians, yeah. Mode of ignorance? Any examples?
Me. I'm always lazy on weekends.
It's a men.
I'm ignorant.
Yeah, well,
On the weekends. I'm
yeah,
sorry, I'm always lazy.
we're all affected by the modes, so that's true. Yeah. But
You'll be like an alcoholic.
yeah, very good. Yeah, very good example. Yeah. Okay. So you've got now. Whatever happens in these modes, right? You're influenced by the modes. As soon as you try to enjoy it for yourself, the modes take over the senses. That creates karma. Right? And the accumulation of karma creates bodies which take the modes of previous lives with them. Right? And sometimes you're thinking, why the hell did I do that? Why am I like that? What you've got is like all these samskara, all these things in the modes from previous lives have created your psychophysical makeup in this life. Right? And they're making you do these things. Why am I a lawyer? Well, it's what's happened. Like, that's the way I wanted to enjoy the material world over many lives. So I've kind of been brought into this here. But what Arjuna wants to do, what he gets to at the end of these chapters, as we get into chapters 13 and 14, and so on, Bhagavad Gita, he started to understand that actually what he's supposed to think is, oh, I've got this impulse. That's in that mode, but I'm not the body or the soul, so I'm not going to act on that impulse. If you think about where he was at the start, he's looking at all these things through the eyes and ears. Drona, Duryodhana, Bhishma. He's reacting to it. Mainly in the mode of ignorance. I want to get away from it. But now he's going to go, when he sees that same, remember, he hasn't moved anywhere. He's in the same place. Right? He's got the same view of all the bad guys. Right? In the same place as the chariot. He's looking at them. As Krishna's explaining this to him, he started to go, those doubts, those illusions, my feelings, they're not me. They're just the modes and my psychological makeup of my mind, my subtle body, my false ego. That's creating those reactions in my head. But I'm not the mind, I'm the soul. So he suddenly doesn't get affected by this stuff. Sort of like it's slowly being purified, as Krishna's speaking to him. So what happens is you kind of meditate on this, and meditate any part of the Bhagavad Gita, but this is one of the core topics of the Bhagavad Gita, right? Because Krishna is always talking about be outside the modes of nature, be transcendental. When he says transcendental, it means be outside the modes of nature. Yeah? Yeah? We want to understand this so we're above the modes of nature. Yeah? So Arjuna, remember the second chapter? He's saying, what is it like to be transcendental? And the descriptions are given, well, these people, they don't get affected by happiness or sorrow, all this stuff. Okay? We kind of think, well, that's really cool, I understand Bhagavad Gita, that's really kind of clever. But the mechanics of actually getting it and applying it are to do with understanding what this is, the modes of nature. Yeah? So then you can go, I'm about to react, that guy's done something annoying, he's cut me up on the motorway, the freeway, modes of nature. My psychological psycho makeup is, I've got a bit of ego, I'm going to react, that guy cutting me up on the freeway. You realise I'm not the soul. And that creates detachment. So two magnets suddenly pulled apart. Yeah.
But it's hard. It's not easy.
It's not easy now because why? But why is it not easy? We've already talked about this. Why is it not easy? Arjuna also understands why it's not easy. So he's on the guard against it. Why is it not easy?
Because this is what we're used to.
And why are we used to it?
Because we're in this material world, it is going to these three things. If I look at my life, I always sometimes work in goodness, on passion, in ignorance, sometimes.
Yeah, but you're describing something, you're not telling me why.
Because Maya is there, I mean, it's designed this way.
Okay, well, that's half the answer. We want to call. I mentioned it. So all our previous births in the material world, right? We have had desires, impulses to enjoy as a soul. And by being in the material world, we've picked up 3% mode of passion, 4% mode of passion, 7% mode of ignorance, let's say 45 lifetimes ago, you know. And those are kind of turning us into the, I want my body like this, or my hair like this, and enjoy like this. Right? We are becoming the results of our actions. That's what we've become, the psychological and physical makeup of us. And for a lot of people who are not interested in Bhagavad Gita, who are not interested in this, they will just carry on developing these desires and actually enhancing them, so they get more and more bodies. Yeah? So Arjuna is not only going to go, hang on, I'm not the body. I don't want to be scared of these guys, because that means I am the body, and therefore I'm going to do some sort of karmic reaction by walking off the battlefield. And that's going to embody me further in the physical state. Birth after birth after birth. By chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, he definitely does not want that. He's understood this over the 18th chapter. Right? So when he looks at those guys, it's not like, he also understands he's not the body, he's the soul. He knows about the nodes of nature, but he's also like, I wouldn't even dare to think like that, because I don't want to come back again on this planet, on this material universe, material world. He doesn't want to be there. Because our journey, of course, is getting out of here. Right? We want to get out of the material world. We want to go back to the spiritual world. Right? As you learn about the material world, you realise why it's a place of miseries. And I used to read this and go, Prabhupada keeps saying it's a place of miseries, it's a place of miseries. You know, yeah, bad things happen. You know? Yeah, but the real reason it's a place of miseries, because you're never going to get real happiness. You can only get it from the spiritual world. You're only going to get another body. And you get old, you get ill, you could die, you might get a dog's life, you might not get a vet, you might get a bad dog owner. Again. It goes on. Eternity of slavery. To your own desires. Yeah. It's a form of perpetual madness. Yeah. So Arjuna is going to be like, I can feel one of the modes coming. I'm not going to like it. And Prabhupada says, ultimately, the real thing that gets you above the modes, where all of these other people are stuck in the modes of nature, is bhakti, devotion to God. As soon as you're devoted to God, that's the whole point of the modes of nature in the material world, to reform you. Remember I said that reforms your conduct, refines your intentions, to love God. So then you're not affected. As soon as you bhakti, the modes come off you. Our people chant for many, many years, Hare Krishna mantra, they can feel that the material energy doesn't affect them that much. You know, the body is going to affect them, but it's not. They're like, ooh, you know. Okay, I'll give you a very simple example. I don't know if a fly goes on you, do you get annoyed?
If a fly, yeah.
It lands on you, you get annoyed?
Yeah.
A fly comes on you. Right. So when you read Bhagavad Gita intensely, like over time, the fly will come on you and you go, you poor embodied soul, how many lifetimes have you been here? You start chanting on the fly, it might annoy you. You start chanting on the fly. You'll see that that soul of the fly is no different to your soul. It's just encapsulated by some material energy. Then you'll start to see the material world for what it is. I'll even give the devotee of the Lord wants to give the mercy of getting out of here to everyone. Right, so probably start chanting on the fly. The fly can get purified and change its karmic journey. Yeah?
But
so, yeah, go on.
we are living in a material world. If these energies are always there, they are going. I don't want to be like, they affects you. It affects you. It doesn't, you can't, it's not like a switch, you can just turn it off.
Yeah, okay. you can't, but by having knowledge, what you could say is, how am I going to react to certain things? And how am I going to avoid certain things? Those two things will change the way you behave, right? I'll give an example. Let's say I don't read the Bhagavad Gita and I love going to strip joints. You know? Mode of passion, mode of ignorance, lust, you know? I know Bhagavad Gita, I go, well, actually, I decided I don't want to be in the material world anymore. I won't go to strip joints. I'll make a decision. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to a bar because I don't want to be around people that are in these modes of nature. I'm going to be selective. So as you start the journey, you're going to go, okay, how serious? At the moment I'm this, I can only do this. As you get more serious in your journey, you're going to go, okay, now I'm going to not do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go over there. And what happens over time is, as you're doing bhakti and you're removing these obstacles from your bhakti, it just accelerates. You get above the mode, you know, because you're giving yourself a chance. Before you're like, I can run the marathon by strapping weights on my legs. You know, I don't care where I go, it's what I see, what I put in my senses. I can still do bhakti, macho false egoism, right? But then we change. And one of the things I was thinking about, I was learning verse 4.34, which is about surrendering to a spiritual master. And when you ask people about this, why surrender to a spiritual master? What do you think the most common answers are?
It brings you to Krishna.
Yeah, good.
Masters like just gurus in general,
Yeah.
like tradition, I guess.
Okay, tradition, that's what I said. Ready?
Well, we're told that we need to be in the disciplic succession to succeed.
Yeah, that's another answer. An obvious answer, why do you need a spiritual master? Why do you need a tennis coach?
To take you out of the darkness. Because
Yeah.
guru means.
These are good answers. If I said I want to be good at tennis, and then someone goes, you need a tennis coach, what would the answer be?
Oh, practice.
Practice, yeah, your shots are bad. So that's the most common answer. If you look at all those answers, they are very practical. They're like, somehow it will happen, right? But why is Krishna saying spiritual master? It's because spiritual master represents Krishna. Taking spiritual master is a form of surrender to the Lord, which is a form of, I want to get out of materiology. It's the surrender process to bhakti that gets you out of the material world, that gets you transcendental. That's the answer. Yes, those things are important. The real answer is, I'm not doing it because I don't quite want to surrender. Yeah? It's like, I know drinking's bad. I've cut down. Yeah? Someone says, I do a pint a week or whatever, or 2 pints a week. Yeah? I occasionally do go to the pub because you're not absolutely dead serious about stopping drinking. Okay? Otherwise you just wouldn't do that. So it's about surrendering, giving up, surrendering. Yeah? So those are big steps. Right? I'm not saying we go to a spiritual master because you have to get to, there's a reason why you get to that point and all that stuff. But what we're trying to do is go, I want to get out of the material world, therefore I know these modes of nature influence me. It must influence me because Krishna has written an entire chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita on it. Yep. And I need to start thinking about how are these things going to happen. And you may not do it straight away. But as you read Bhagavad Gita, you'll see that everywhere the word transcendental is put here and there, and the words of, I'll stay above the modes, Arjuna, stay above the modes, every chapter, stay above the modes. That one who isn't affected by the modes of nature. You know? You're like, how can I do that? I do chanting, I'm doing bhakti. And Krishna says, as soon as you do bhakti, while you're doing bhakti, you're not in the modes of nature. Yeah? You're spiritualized, you're actually spiritualized. If you can chant, you can stay above the modes of nature. You're above them every day, you're staying above the modes of nature for a period of time. So then it's a question of putting some armor on with knowledge. If you start thinking about, I do this thing that makes me really angry, attachment, therefore the modes of nature, it's going to create karmic results. Just let go of that. Eventually let go of this thing, you let go of that thing, you let go of this thing, you let go of that thing. You suddenly become more free and then you do bhakti, and you're getting closer and closer to God. It becomes a process. I mean, Arjuna's gone from, I don't want to fight these guys, I want to walk off the battlefield. And Krishna goes to the end of the Bhagavad Gita, do you want to fight or not? He goes, yeah, let's go and kill them all. So he's gone from one to another. But not like, it's not like Al Pacino in a movie trying to get people to, let's go and do something, like that. It's like a soccer movie that he does. Right? He's explained step by step. There are repercussions. When you enjoy your senses for yourself, there are always karmic repercussions. As you do bhakti, those karmic reactions have a lesser and less effect on you. Right? So dematerializing yourself, getting yourself out of material energy. Right? And eventually, you'll only do what you need to do because you're afraid of the karmic reactions of the modes of nature. And most of the time, you're staying away from those things. It doesn't take long. Honestly, people do it within 36 months. Even shorter than that. Because once it drops in, they'll see, I'm doing this. I'm going on Netflix for 4 hours a night. Why don't I swap it, do 2 hours a night and read 1 hour of Bhagavad Gita or 20 minutes of Bhagavad Gita, and it starts changing little things, and those little things start adding up, and it completely transforms somebody. So, and the soul's natural position is to serve Krishna. Be happy through service, not slavery, but joyful service. So as it goes towards that, the soul wants to go there. It's going to naturally want to move itself that direction because that's its natural activity. So, yeah, so that's any questions? Second.
Sorry, it's just, okay.
Yeah.
The thing I struggle with most,
Yeah.
I'm going to be very honest.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm going to a strip club or anything, but I stay away from these things. We are following Krishna consciousness as serious as possible. But when you go to work
Yeah.
and things happen,
Yeah.
it doesn't make you, like, because, for an example, I work in childcare, like, a child nappy was not done on time and you just pulled in at the office, but you are not doing your job right, and you know, you've been doing your job for like improving yourself. It's just, it affects you, and you go home, I discuss with him and I put all my frustration this time, and he's like, no, let's think of the positive. It's just at that moment you can't think that, oh, it's a transcendental thing. It's just it gets affected a lot.
Yeah. No, that's the fact you can recognize that and discuss it. You're already stepping in the right direction. I'll tell you why. Because what happens is, when you think about this as you read Bhagavad Gita, you will go and go, I was torn off by a nappy, blah, 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 whatever it is. 2 hours, 3 hours. I used to do this. My job involved 2 people wanting to kill each other in court. I was representing one side of them. Right? And the people calling up in the night, I can't sleep. Why not? This guy's stolen my money. Yeah. And I used to take client calls at 8, 9, and 10 at night, thinking the client will get happy. Well, eventually I stopped doing that. And eventually I was like, it will affect you because the body has to react. It's like you're in the body, right? The soul is in the body. If I flick your ear, you're going to go, oh, right? But if you flicked my ear when I was 25, I would definitely punch you in the face. I would just gone back, right? I probably got on top of you, started punching you in the face on the floor, right? Right? Now I'll probably just go, Hare Krishna. That's Krishna. Because the knowledge, initially you will go on and on about it, but you'll stop because you go, hang on, Krishna, what's Krishna saying? Right? And then what will happen over time, and it will happen very quickly, as you keep with your bhakti, is you'll feel bad at work, you'll get angry, you'll get on the train, you'll go on your phone and read your Bhagavad Gita. After 10 minutes, you'll be like, what happened? What was I thinking about? I can't even remember what I was thinking about. It will be that big a transformation. Arjuna, obviously, he's into Apara Yuga, right? He's in 90 odd minutes, he's gone from, I want to get out of here, let him have it, to, right, let's go, get him. It's a 360-degree reversal, 180-degree reversal, sorry, of the position he was in, right? And what will happen to you is, you will see over time that you're reacting, and your reactions are less and less and less and less. I mean, the things that used to annoy me, right? I laugh about them now. I look at myself and go, the modes of nature. I was doing them because I wanted to do this for somebody, or do this for a client, or win this case, whatever. Reaction, reaction, reaction. Completely attached to the fruits and results of your activities. Yeah. But you understand the world, you go, the reason I'm getting attacked, the reason I'm feeling uncomfortable, is because of karma. We're about to talk about that. Yeah. So it's because something in the universe has to balance itself. I have done something in another life, or this life, or earlier in my life, whatever. Now I'm getting berated, something's happening. Yeah? And as we know, Krishna is in everyone's heart as a super soul. He's rationing out justice, through the demigods. And so everything has to be balanced. And that's why eventually you'll go, someone's yelling at you, you parked your car, I go, Krishna is a super soul, wants to have a go at me today. Thank you. Right? 20 years ago, I probably would go out of the car and probably show them a whole range of new swear words they hadn't heard. That doesn't happen anymore. And I never believed it would never not happen. But it will happen because ultimately everything in the material world is controlled by Krishna. So by surrendering to Krishna, over time you'll get the knowledge. He'll give you the knowledge from within and from without. So the scriptures, spiritual master, or classes, or whatever, and you will go. That same situation will happen to you 6 years from now, and you go, so glad to Bhakti. Just like, all right, whatever. Let's go make a couple of hot chocolate or something. that's how you'll react. But that's becoming detached from the material world. And we starting to become aware of how the material world works, the modes of nature, and pulling yourself away. Okay? This is not easy because you're conditioned. But as soon as you start bhakti, the power of the holy name is such that it absorbs all this reactions and karmic reactions, right? And it gives you intelligence. If you didn't do bhakti, if you did jhana, would you be here tonight? Would you be hearing about the modes of nature? You know? So you think about next year. Where are you going to be next year? The year after? You're building a little scaffolding, you know, building a foundation, so that you can be like Arjuna. We don't have the bodies of people in that age. We're not as smart as them. You know? We're not as smart as Arjuna. You can pick up the Bhagavad Gita and know it like literally in an evening. Right? We don't have that because we don't physically have it. That's, the bodies are different. We don't have the previous lives piety that Arjuna had to be a devotee. The Lord is on his chariot. He's a very, very elevated soul. Yeah? But what we do have is Srila Prabhupada. And in the commentaries, which is as good as Krishna, you're getting Krishna 4 times over. Some of the commentaries are about 7 times the length of the verse. You're getting Krishna 7 times, not just it's never not happened for around the world. It's never happened before. Someone's gone around explaining the Bhagavad Gita, explaining why we're actually in this world and how to get out of it. And the reason you will get out of this world is because you will eventually go, if I react to correct a karmic reaction, if I don't do something to create a karmic reaction, you know, I don't want anything of that. I want akarma, or you know, I want to stay free from that. I want to be in bhakti as much as possible. Okay? And the bhakti will be like a sponge, you know. And it's this very strange sponge. It's like a sponge that looks very small, and you spill a lot of water on the floor, and you go, how can a sponge pick all this up? And this weird sponge will keep picking up the water no matter how much you try to absorb. It's the bhakti sponge. It's got this huge weird composition that absorbs all this nightmare situation. Yep. So, consistency.
So, okay.
Mataji.
What I understood is you're saying that if you're doing your bhakti, if you're doing whatever devotional service, whatever, I'm not perfect, we are not perfect. So you're saying that we keep on doing our work, it's not going to affect us, like?
Oh, I think. Look, we'll do karma yoga. We will discuss those topics as we go on, in terms of working without fruitive results, working for Krishna. But the answer is, Krishna says, no, it won't affect you. In the last few lines of Bhagavad Gita, he says, surrender unto me, do not worry. I will absorb all the sin. Because the whole point of getting you to sin and then kicking you again through birth and birth is to come to me. So if you're already in the right place, I don't need to get you to worry about sin anymore. I only created the concept of sin in the material world to reform you. But now you're coming to me, I can now ease off on that. Now, if you need an occasional kick because you're being naughty, because you're coming to me, I want you to come back to me. He always wants us to go back to him. Right? You've begun the journey out of here. Krishna is going to alleviate that for you as long as you're consistent and show intention. Okay? But if you go on a date and then you kind of sloppy with the next 2 dates and you don't turn up the 3rd day, 4th day, and occasionally you're right, you know, but there's some other girls called material energy in your life, then it's not going to be a great relationship. You might be excused because Krishna's all merciful. I say, okay, well, give another chance, give another chance. But he wants to see a bit of effort. You know? Yeah. So that's, the reason why Krishna can absorb all sin, bhakti absorbs all sin, is sin was designed just to reform you to get you to bhakti. Yeah, don't ever egg the pudding, sins. It's important. But as you start to see, if I do that and get a karmic reaction, that means I'm going to be able to get another body. He'll eventually just stop doing those things. Because you don't want to come back here. The more serious you get with your intention, refining your intentions with your world, the more you go, like, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to go over there, I'm not going to drive over to that place. Okay? I'm not going to go to McDonald's because I might have a chip that's fried with some meat. You know? I have to offer all my food to Krishna because everything belongs to Krishna. I've stolen his body. The material energy is Krishna's. I don't want to offer a chip like that, so I'm not going to go there. So you just see, the more you look at it, the more it's already happening to you. If you did an audit of what happened to you in the last 12 months of bhakti, you would have seen that, wow, I was here and I'm doing this. Yeah. As you look over a bigger period of time, if you're not writing it down every day, you'll see it over a bigger period of time because it becomes more obvious. Devotees always go, I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. And if you get a compassionate devotee, a good devotee, it's compassion. You know, you say, I used to do this and this, and they'll go, I used to do it too. Because they're at a level where they can admit to it. Which is probably most, you know, most of the kind of things Prabhupada says a saintly person shouldn't do. You know, I've done it. When I was younger, I was late teenager. But because the material world is there to reform you by kicking you when you do these things. Yeah. And the more intention you show in bhakti, you either get not the simple reactions, you get the knowledge, or you get the bigger kicks. You get the really big kicks. And then you go, that's Krishna. He's just, you might not know this, but have you seen the Prabhupada movie, 18-minute movie on the internet? The first
I think I was a video, like documentary on
YouTube. It's a really interesting bit. Prabhupada's already a Swami, right? He's trying to distribute back to Godhead around India, a magazine. And one day he's walking down the road and he's feeling ever so sorry for himself. It's like, oh God, what's the point? What am I doing? Even he's very exalted. He's a very high sannyasi. And he starts feeling sorry for himself. Because he's in the material body, so he's getting made of ignorance. He thinks he's the body. He thinks it matters how he feels. And suddenly around the corner, a bull comes and knocks him over. Really hard. Bang. Knocks Prabhupada over. Prabhupada falls on the floor. You okay?
Thank you so much.
No rest.
What about Hare Krishna?
Krishna.
So he basically gets knocked over. And people go, how did Prabhupada get knocked over? I mean, he's doing all this bhakti, he's trying to distribute messages of Krishna. 24 hours a day he's doing something for Krishna. And Krishna's just saying to him, don't you for a moment, you're such an exalted devotee, don't you for a moment feel sorry for yourself. Bang! Wake up! Yeah. And he goes, that's Krishna warning me. So it's not to get too much of the bodily concept. Yeah. So it doesn't matter who we are. We're here, we you know, if we're sincere, we'll get help from different directions. So how much time do we have?
Yes, we're finished.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to grab some books of you.
You just grab books. Okay, so I'll probably stop. I was going to go a bit longer, but I'll stop here. That was obviously a big topic. Yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you.
Kirtan, Adelaide. Leave a like and subscribe.